Welcome to Behind the Shield, the Hall of Fame edition. Today we are joined by field hockey standout and newly minted Hall of Famer, April McFarland Bastress. Hello again, everybody. Scott Guys joining you for another episode of Behind the Shield. Today we get to talk to one of the best field hockey players in school history, as April graduated first all-time in goals scored, second in points, third in game-winning goals, a two-time All-CAC pick, the 2005 CAC Rookie of the Year. Certainly a worthy candidate to go into the Hall of Fame. So after this commercial break, we will be joined by April Bastress.
You've probably heard a lot about changes on campus, about how classes will look a little different, or how the dining hall won't be set up like it was last year. You may have heard we'll be living with a new normal. But the truth is, at York College of Pennsylvania, normal has never been our thing. If by normal you mean predictable, usual, commonplace, average, that's not us. Our normal is extraordinary, exceptional, remarkable. Our normal is about taking responsibility, thinking of others, and treating people with respect. Here, normal means being compassionate. It means protecting the person next to us to ensure safety and good health for all of us, because we know we're in this together. For us, wearing masks and social distancing aren't really a new normal. They're just another example of what's always been important to us. Joining efforts to find real solutions to achieve our goals, to help our community thrive, and to show that we care. That's not a new normal. That's our normal, and we are grateful that you're part of it. Welcome home, Spartans.
Welcome back to Behind the Shield, the Hall of Fame edition. We are happy to be joined by April Bastress. Thanks for joining us, April.
Thank you for having me.
It's so good to see you, even though it's virtual. We're so used to seeing each other during the wrestling season, and who knows when that'll be this year. So it's good to see you. How have you been doing?
Doing great, doing good. Yep, definitely missing the sports this year, but we're making the best of every situation right now.
That's all we can do, really. As a teacher, you're a teacher. Your world probably is completely different than what it was a year ago at this time, but you just got to make the best of it. So let's catch everybody up. Since you've left York, what have you been up to? What have you been doing? People that follow the Spartan program are probably familiar, but for everybody who doesn't know, fill us in on what's been going on since you've left YCP.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, since I left York, of course, you are aware I met my husband at York College. So shortly after leaving York College, we got married. I obtained a teaching job at Conewaga Valley School District, where I teach first graders, and loving every minute of doing that. Shortly after getting my job there, I went on to McDaniel to obtain my reading specialist degree. So now I have a master's in reading. And then a little bit after that, we had our daughter, Cora, who is now 5. And yeah, and in kindergarten. And 3.5 years later, after we had Cora, we now have Audrey, who just turned 2. So besides being a mom and a wife and a teacher, not much.
That's it. Just those little things. First of all, I can't believe Cora's 5.
I
can't believe Audrey's 2. Where did this time go? It flies by. It's so hard to believe.
No. Yeah.
So the question is, what sports are Cora in right now? And she has to be doing something, right?
Well, it's been tough. We've had her in soccer for quite a while, and it's been kind of a love-hate. She loves it. She hates it. But I am really excited to say that she just started lacrosse not too long ago, and she is loving it. So she does really well with it, and it's kind of her thing. She's in the backyard. She's running up and down the sidewalk with her stick, and so Coach Jen would be proud of her.
I was going to say, as Jen mustn't been in any games, she's got to be doing a little early recruiting. There's no question.
Yeah.
And it's funny you say that, but I always thought that if you had a little bit more time, that women's lacrosse would have been a great sport for you.
Absolutely. And it's kind of funny because thinking back to that, Allison Fordyce was the coach at the time, my freshman year coming in, and I had no clue what lacrosse even was. It wasn't big in York, PA when I went to college. And I went to the college and she's like, come play lacrosse. I'm like, I have no idea what this sport even is. And she said, you're fast, you'll be fine. I'm like, I couldn't put my heart into it. I knew I couldn't do it. I wanted to focus on field hockey and I had no idea how to play the sport of lacrosse, but I would have loved to. So I'm hoping Cora sticks with it. I'm hoping she does play field hockey. I mean, both of my girls have sticks and they're playing in the backyard, but unfortunately, it's not a huge growing game right now for little tiny ones in the area. So we're looking for things for field hockey, but our area at least has a lot to offer for lacrosse right now. So that's a good start.
It's a great start, and just keep them active, make sure they love doing what they're doing, and they'll be just fine. Right. So let's pivot a little bit. You find out this summer that you've been named to the Hall of Fame. Kind of what went through your mind? Was it something you had thought about previously? Was it something that kind of you knew you were coming up, but you weren't quite sure? What were some of your thoughts when you heard the news?
I was honored. I was a little shocked, to be honest. I kind of was. I never really even thought about being a member of the Hall of Fame. I remember my senior year meeting Jackie Russell. And it was funny because she had come to the game and it was the exact same day that she had just gotten inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I met her and I said, oh, your college has a Hall of Fame. That's pretty cool. And that was kind of the extent of it. I never really thought beyond that. I never even envisioned myself being in it. I just thought, that's the elite of the elite. That's the best of the best. That's an honor. And then once Dwayne got inducted into the Hall of Fame and I actually sat through that ceremony and he stood up there and he gave his speech, I thought, it'd be neat one day if I could be standing up there too. And I honestly never thought, yes, I'm going to be there, but it was just that thought of it would be quite an honor if I could be there someday. So,
well, and the second group of husband and wife Hall of Fame members joining the Reinerts, which I think is really cool. I think that's a neat part of the story is that you guys are in together.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, it's such a neat accomplishment. And I think one of the things that you look at is, there's so many accomplishments that when you're there, you don't really think about it. It's not until you reflect later on about, wow, that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool career. What are some of the things you enjoyed most about being a field hockey player? Obviously, you got a little bit of time at the new facility and you got to spend some time there. What are some of the things you remember about being a field hockey player at York College?
I just remember my journey in general. My story itself is one of those where I didn't want to play field hockey, to be honest. My mom took me out back and she said, you're going to play and you're going to try it. And if you don't like it, you can quit, but you're going to try it. So if it wasn't for my mom, I probably never even have played field hockey at York. But it was neat to see the transformation because my freshman year we went in and I joined this team. I originally went to play for Vicky Sutton. And then of course it changed hands that year. And I contacted Coach Fordyce and I said, can I come play? All these girls were like, I was recruited to play field hockey. And I said, what? I wasn't. So I immediately thought, well, here goes my career. I guess I was just a high school player and that'll be it. And it was kind of neat just to see the transformation of my own personal career growing and also just the transformation at the college. We started out playing on grass and I don't know how I ever played on grass. I don't know how I ever could. But it was cool to see how everything changed and just being a part of that change as well. But the main thing that I really remember as being a part of it is just being a part of a team and being a part of a family. And there was one really cool experience one year. I don't know if you recall it, but our entire team came down with salmonella. And we had exactly enough players to go to play that game that we had that day. And I just remember our one player, Heather Ray, who never played goalie a day in her life. Every single one of our goalies were out sick didn't even travel with us. And she's like, I'll do it. I'll suit up. And I think from that day forward, it just kind of showed me what the word team actually meant, and just how everyone on that team just always put their heart out for one another. So that's probably my fondest memory, is just being a part of a team, people who just cared about one another and didn't care about if they were great at playing, that particular position. But I mean, she stepped up and took one for the team, and we won the game.
I remember that I believe it was at a tailgate, correct? That everybody
Yes.
got sick.
Yes.
That, needless to say, led to some change in the rules about how the tailgate.
Yes.
And also, it's funny when you talk about your mom, I can completely hear her in my head telling you that you're going to play field hockey, darn it, and you're going to enjoy it. It was certainly, she still comes to field hockey games every once in a while. It's great to see your mom and dad all the time, and certainly I can hear her saying that. Do you find that being a part of athletics, that the team aspect and the team things are things that you remember far more than the games, like the relationships you have with the other players as compared to what happened in a certain game? Is that something that is more vivid for you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just remember, the huddles at the end of a game after a huge win, and just that feeling and that camaraderie on the field as well as off the field. There was so many memories that we made. And honestly, like I don't remember a lot of things when I scored goals or when I was, when we won this particular game. I just remember the feeling, and I remember just the celebrations and the relationships that we made. So yes, I mean, the winning was fun and the winning was great, but there was so much more to being a Spartan than the winning.
How had your athletic career over the course of your life, and now as a professional, as a mother, as somebody who's done some coaching, how much did that athletic experience impact you as a person, and kind of how you do things, how you carry things out, how you live your life? How much of an impact did that make?
I think it has made me everything that I am today. I really do. I mean, just the perseverance and having to have teamwork. I mean, I work on a team every day with a bunch of colleagues, and I think it's just something where it just carries over into real life. Every single thing, just the character that you build and everything. I mean, it's life. You learn a lot. You really do. So, I mean, and I'm definitely trying to instill those qualities in my own children right now. I mean, just dedication and hard work and sticking to something. I mean, I tell Cora all the time, you're going to do this and you're going to try it. And I sound like my mom and you're not going to quit, but.
So honestly, you're the one that has to do the discipline in the house, right? Dwayne doesn't do that, right? The girls look at him with these big eyes and give him, he just melts, right? You're the disciplinarian,
absolutely.
Aren't you?
He is girl dad to the T. He is fun dad. Yeah, no, I have to hold it down here, Scott, believe me. But no, honestly, on that note, I'm truly am blessed to be married to him. And I don't just say that, but I think my girls have someone amazing to be able to look up to when you think about just the character that he has had. And I mean, still has in himself and instills in his own wrestlers. I'm very blessed to say that he is the father of those girls, because they're going to be some pretty strong girls. Their dad's he's a good role model.
I don't think you're going to have to worry about that. And going from that angle, as as somebody who's been involved in athletics her whole life, how much does that help you as the spouse of a coach? Because you know what it takes for him to run the program that he does. How important is it that you've had that understanding now that there are just going to be times that he's going to be away, and like you said, you have to hold down the fort. Right. Is that something that being an athlete has really helped you with?
Absolutely. And Scott, I think that's what made everything work from day one. He would be out running on Thanksgiving Day and on Christmas Eve. And I was okay with that. And no one ever really understood why. How can you be okay with that? Well, because that's what's important. That's what he values. And yes, he still values me, but but I knew what was important to him, and I knew what type of work he needed to put in order to get the outcome that he needed. So I think from day one, even just in our relationship in general, I saw just the work and the work ethic that he needed to put in and that he put in. And so I never stood in his way for that. But I think now, just knowing what it takes to be an athlete and how to even run a successful program, I think that has helped me to, be very understanding as a wife and as a mother. And yeah, and I mean, I do take the back seat sometimes, but if that's going to allow him to be successful in his career and doing what he loves, well, then by all means, I can handle that.
How much fun was it when he won a national championship? Like, I mean, for you as somebody who is right there with him all along the way, and, you're standing, I can only imagine how nerves for you would have been. He was nice and calm, but, for you, how special was that to get the opportunity to see him accomplish such an amazing goal, not only 2 years in a row, but then go undefeated his senior year?
It was amazing. I think it was probably one of the happiest days of my life, besides, our wedding day and everything else. But I was so nervous. Until this day, he'll still make fun of me and say how I was ready to throw up while he's down there at the bottom of the mat laughing at me and making a joke out of it. But it was awesome. It truly was a really cool experience. And I think it just fueled the fire for me even more to want to become the best athlete that I could be while I was at York then. So just his accomplishments in general just really, really pushed me to want to be an even better athlete.
Now, you got the opportunity to coach for a little bit. I think after Cora was born, you had come back and coach for a little bit. Is that something, as the girls get older, that you'll want to coach them and be a part of what they're doing?
Absolutely. I do. Yeah. I would love to be a part of that. My job doesn't really allow for it right now, just with my work schedule and the hours and things. But if it's possible in any way, I am hoping to have my hand in that as much as possible. And for sure.
Yeah. Somebody who's coached his son since he was, I don't know, little. Well, he wasn't really little, but younger. As a parent, it's one of the best things you can do. That time is not replaceable. So it's certainly something that is great. Well, April, thank you so much for joining us. We are hoping that we will have a Hall of Fame ceremony sooner than later, and can't wait to see you again once we get going with our season. And you can bring those girls in, and they can run around during a wrestling match, and we'll be good to go.
We're looking forward to that.
I know we all are. We are all beyond ready to get back to action. So thank you very much for joining us. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. You too.
We want to thank April for joining us today. Certainly great to catch up with her. Can't wait to see her and the girls, as hopefully we will have a wrestling season sometime in the spring semester. But she's always around with those girls, as her husband Dwayne is our head wrestling coach. So we want to thank April for taking the time again. We will return next week with another episode of Behind the Shield, the Hall of Fame edition. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and go Spark.